Yo, what is up, everybody? It's your boy G, and we are back with another one. I'm excited to be back. So we're doing the Academy Genius Swordsman, and you guys already know what it is. We might as well call this like the Adventures of Ronan's ass-kicking trials, because that's literally what he's doing at this point. And he's hunting down those nebulae Ecclesiar guys. So, and this part of the story is pretty dope, because finding out the different swordsmen and their skills and talents and their actual like power levels is real crazy. But before we jump into that, gotta give a shout out to Webtoons. Always fun, allows to do content there. Shout out to those guys. Make sure you guys download the app or visit the website. Just we all got phones. Download the app. Much simpler and much more things you can find on there. And I think it's much easier to find stuff and more again. And now to our adored fans. Shout out to you guys. As always, you guys are the absolute best. We are really nothing without you guys. So make sure you guys smack that like button, share this out, and subscribe to the channel if you're not. Subscribe if you have not. What are you waiting for? Please just subscribe. And to all those that continue to watch your videos, please share them out and also hit the like button. It's a real simple thing. Like button's like right there, a little thumb, just pow, pop out, hit it. And I'm gonna stop rambling so we can jump into this. Let's do it. All right, we get a disclaimer as always. I don't need to go over. You guys know what it is. What's Professor Jordan doing here? Come to think of it, he looks better than I've ever seen him. Oh, he looks a little cleaned up, a little shaved up, a little bit. He looked like he took a bath or shower, bath maybe in their time. This is about my student's mana. As you know, due to Ronan's highly unusual constitution, he needs to be checked regularly. I suppose you'd like to extort a fortune from him in exchange for your services. Ah, she got him, because yeah, that last little mission he had to do was pretty rough, bruh. If that's the case, relax. That's not what I meant. And we're not mercenaries anymore. So take your hands off your sword. I'm here simply to keep my promise. I owe Ronan a great debt of gratitude. After many years of waiting without any change or improvement, Sonia is finally beginning to show signs of hope. What? You mean Sonia is awake? There's still a long way to go, but I appreciate it if you stop by to see her sometime. She's always loved hearing tales of your adventures. Now then, I actually wanted to speak to you about a far more urgent matter with regards to your teaching assistant. Adeshan, you mean? That's right. At Ronan's request, I've been studying Adeshan's recently. It's too soon to draw any definitive conclusion, but if my theory is correct, he could be in grave danger. She possesses power too great even for herself to handle. I'm sure you noticed that by now, haven't you? The potential danger in her. The potential danger in her power, I mean. That's probably why you've been keeping her near you. If anything were to go wrong, everyone around her could be. Hold your tongue, Jordan. My teaching assistant isn't as weak as you seem to think. Got it. Don't you dare decide her future without even knowing her. You say so. Very well. And I'll leave it up to you to decide the matter. Miss Navarro sure seems angry. By the way, what was that you said about the mercenaries earlier? Did you two used to be mercenaries? Yeah, that's a dozen or so years ago. I wager there wasn't a single person in the South who hadn't heard of us. Circumstances weren't exactly ideal, but that's when Navarros and I first met. We were enemies, we both been hired to kill each other. I still remember that day like it was yesterday. You have seen Navarros back then. It was the very incarnation of death. The fear I felt then can't even be put into words, thankfully. She's a lot more humane now than she was in those days. You mean this is an improvement? I ended up being brutally defeated by her that day. and came within an inch of death. If Sonya didn't happen to live in the area, I wouldn't be standing before you today. Sonya rescued me and nursed me back to health. And at that time, we naturally fell in love and tied the knot. I suppose a little disagreement we had, we're all a part of being lovers as well. Navarros and I eventually learned to get along as something like colleagues. Of course, such a thing would have never been possible if it weren't for Sonya's exceptionally bright, pure nature. And I freely admit, it's all my fault that Navarros came to hate me so much. You're furious with me for not being strong enough to protect Sonya, and for clinging to her like a fool long after seemed to be no hope for saving her. Yet she never told anyone my secret. The fact that I've been able to continue Sonya's treatment until now is partly thanks to her as well. That's why I've always believed that if I can just cure Sonya, Navarros will open up to me again someday. Might seems gruff on the outside, but she has a warm heart. The next day in the Hall of Truth located in the Magic Department's main building, the Black Magic Laboratory. Anytime you see rats being tested on, you know something's up, bruh. You know something's up. I didn't think anywhere could possibly be gloomier than your lab, Professor. Are you sure it's safe for us to be here? Just try to ignore the gloom. We need this high-powered machine. And it can only be used here. This is called a mana extractor. It's an extremely powerful magic item capable of extracting mana from living creatures. Most people in your position would give up everything they own for a chance to use this. Adeshan. Kind of people who are struggling to understand their own mana. Everything they own. Now then, go stand over there. It's time for you to face the secrets of the power hidden within you. Have you already braced yourself for what's coming? Yes, sir. Alright, in that case, let's get started right away. Professor? What's happening? Some sort of black stuff is coming out of my body. She hasn't even used her power, yet it's already beginning to work? Remarkable. This must be what turned Grand Marshal Adeshan into the Iron Lady in my previous life and made her unstoppable on the battlefield. The greatest and yet most terrifying power in the history of the Empire. What's this? My mana black. There's no doubt in my mind anymore. That can only be one thing. Shadow mana. Shadow mana? Ronan's mentioned that before as well. What exactly is it? Never heard of such mana. I'm not surprised all information about shadow mana is guarded within the utmost secrecy. I bet you have a hard time finding anyone even here who knows about it. Come to think of it, how the heck did you know about shadow mana? Let's not get caught up in details. And again, even if it weren't kept under wraps, not much is known about it anyway. Shadow mana often lies dormant within the body, or anywhere for a few years, several centuries. And once the mana's full power is activated, most people end up dying as a result. Damn. Who can even train her at that point then, right? I'm sure you could sense it, even from the small amount that seeped out of your body just now. There's something fundamentally different about your mana. From that mana that we use. It grants the power of a swordsmaster, even to those without the ability to control mana at all. It can make your wildest, most unrealistic fantasies come true. It defies the very laws of nature and cosmic order. That's what shadow mana is. The problem is that its power tends to be activated in sudden bursts, which are impossible to predict or control even for the ones who possess it. As a result of those wild, uncontrollable rampages, the power leaves a trail of horrific destruction in its wake. In the end, once the mana has exhausted itself, it consumes even the body containing it. Are you sure you really want this power, Adeshan? If you want, I can put a restriction on the mana to prevent it from being active. Or I can find some way to remove the shadow mana itself from you. Choose wisely. In the past, shadow mana has been both a blessing and a curse to those who possess it, but whether or not they ever learn to control their power, things didn't end well for any of them. Are you prepared to accept the double-edged sword, the shadow mana, and face its potentially deadly consequences? Oh man, so this is technically where Ronan can actually do what future version of her wanted him to do about like not having her pursue like her future of becoming a soldier, because this is kind of where it can end. He could be like, nah, just get rid of it, pull it out of her per se, right? Take the shadow mana from her so that she won't use it. As if he was able to do that, then her power wouldn't, it wouldn't reach the level of it where it was in the future. In a sense, she'd just be like a weakling and she wouldn't even pursue being Grand Marshal and all that stuff. This is where it technically could end for him if he decided to go that route. Are you prepared to accept the double-edged sword of the shadow mana and face its potentially deadly consequences? Don't worry, I'll do whatever I can to help, okay? Let's give it our best shots. Grand Marshal. I'd be lying if I said I'm not afraid, but I'm reminded of some words of encouragement that someone once told me. Don't worry. Just give it your best shot. This is no time to shy away from danger. I gladly accept the consequences of this power, Professor Jaredin. That's the spirit. I wouldn't expect anything less from Navirose's teaching assistant. Very well. It's been decided. Let's get started right away. Damn. Look at that power, bro. Professor, where did this energy come from? It feels so familiar. I extracted the mana you accumulated so far. Before I explain why, let me take a guess at what you've likely been experiencing. You probably thought you had no talent for mana, right? No matter how hard you tried, you never made any progress, and you couldn't even begin to catch up to your classmates. How do you know that? It's obvious. Like I said, shadow mana defies the laws of nature. Power like that can't stay hidden inside a person forever. There's a constant clash between shadow mana and the mana you've gathered within. That's what's been holding you back. It's actually remarkable that you've managed to accumulate this much mana. Despite all that being said, I commend your efforts, but it's time to part ways with old self. Pardon? I don't understand what you mean. The solution to the problem is quite simple. You gotta kill one of them. If the clash between the two types of mana is an issue, you just have to rid yourself of unnecessary mana. That way, only shadow mana will be left in your body. When I think of it, you make an interesting pair. One of you having a hard time gathering mana, and the other is desperate to get rid of it. It's beginning to sound uncomfortably familiar. Let me guess. It'll take another 5 years to fix the problem. Bingo! You're as bright as you look, Ronan. Once mana take root in a person, it's rather difficult to erase it. The extractor only gives the illusion of the mana being removed. Once it turns off, the mana will go right back inside the body. If someone were to remove the mana within themselves all at once, would it cause any serious side effects or harm them in any way? Not that I know of. They would simply lose the mana. Why do you ask? Huh? It's just mana is gone. Perfect. I can't sit around waiting for 5 years. We have a lot of work to do. Grand Marshal Adeshan. Damn, he just killed her mana because he knows that technique. Killed the quote unquote good mana. Now all she has is the shadow mana. Ah, finally awake. Welcome back, Adeshan. Ronan? Why am I lying in your lap? Did I pass out? What's going on? Why are the test subjects sounding so agitated? I thought they were asleep earlier. Oh, you ought to know you're the one who did that. I can explain. When your original mana disappeared, there was a short, intense burst of shadow mana inside you as the restraints holding it back were broken. This is basically the result of the sudden spike in mana activity. Congratulations, Adeshan. This isn't quite how I envisioned you unlocking your shadow mana, but it worked. A completely new type of energy has planted itself in your heart. A core of pure shadow mana. That's the power you'll now have to work on mastering. And feel it. It's like there's a cold lump in my heart. That's a side effect of removing your old mana. Shadow mana is overreactive right now. Pretty soon it'll shrink to the size of a handful of sand. Although that doesn't seem to bother you. We'll soon begin looking into what sort of new abilities you gain by awakening your shadow mana. But first, I need to silence these. Hold on, Professor. Would you let Adeshan do that? Can you try telling the test subjects to be quiet? That should do the trick. Be quiet. My goodness. You'll be quite quiet right away, just like you said, Ronan. Well, look at that. Was that some sort of mind control skill? Even the simplest brainwashing requires a huge amount of mana and advanced magic items. I can't believe you did that so easily. I think we might have unleashed deadlier power than we expected. Grand Marshal Adeshan just obtained a new type of power. Mind control. The ability to completely force one's own will on another living being. And mind control merely alters people's perception. It would simply provide a more efficient way of giving orders. But if you limit the scope of the power to the size of a military unit, you can create a small army of puppets that don't even fear death. And in the case of the Grand Marshal, you never hesitated to use her ability. Old Amster, she was using that shit sick. Grand Marshal, is this really the only option? I'm afraid so. There's no other way to ensure victory. They focus on keeping wits about you until we finish the very last battle. Damn. Because that, Ronan, is the only reason you and I are still alive. It was fate that turned her into the Iron Lady in our previous life. When we were faced with the same situation again someday, how will I be able to help her? And more importantly, what will the Grand Marshal decide to do? Damn, so he kind of initiated her turning into the Iron Lady by allowing her to do that. But now he could better prepare himself so when that moment comes, he can either come with a different idea or something different that won't force her to become so dark and broody and have that killer instinct. That is crazy though. That's a crazy dynamic. That is interesting, to say the least. But guys, that is going to be it for today. All we did was 73 and 74. We'll be back in 2 weeks to do the I guess the new drops at that point and time. So I will catch you guys later. As always, say take care of yourselves and each other. Boy G, and I'm out. Peace.